Well, as I have said earlier, I lived in the war in Lebanon for 6 years, and the war lasted while I was doing both my bachelor and my master's, and it ended 2 years after finishing my master's. That really has affected me deeply because having the space, because I was living in the United States and looking at the news of Lebanon from far away, I was able to see very clearly how politicians use religion to divide and conquer. Politicians don't have any morals. No one. I don't care what religion they are. Politicians everywhere, not just in Lebanon, they have no morals. All they have is interest. And for their interest, they are ready to divide and conquer. So they created this sectarian fire between Christian and Muslim and Sunni and Shia and Druze. And while the war was raging, the lords of the war were dividing all the bounties and stealing the country and stealing the money of the people, as they have done lately and continue to do. They have plunged Lebanon in economic disaster while everybody is becoming a millionaire. So they fight to say who's going to get the biggest portion of the pie. But living in the United States and learning more about the history of America and the history of many governments, I find Lebanon everywhere. Lebanon is not a very specific case. Everybody, to maintain their power, they're ready to really devastate the environment, devastate communities, as I said, divide and conquer so they can maintain their power. So what do I believe the role of art? The role of art is to educate. So when, as I said earlier, if your art is your voice, what you want to talk about, there is nothing more important to me than to use my art as a voice for peace and for social justice. And what I mean by that, it gives me an opportunity, it gives me a platform to talk about the ideas that are very sacred to me. I would even say the word sacred, because peace is something that every person of every religion and of every race desire and yearn for. So between my teaching, between the lectures that I give, between panel discussions that I participate in, and this year at George Mason University, I gave 4 lectures where I used my art in 2 of the lectures, and I used the history of 20th century artists who lived during World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War, the Hiroshima bombing, the Mexican Revolution, and the war and terror. And it shows you for over 100 years how artists use their voice to be against war and to show, like Goya did, like Otto Dix did, like Kathy Colwitz did, to show the horror of war with the hope that when people realize this more and more, they will be working more for peace in their communities. But I have to say one more thing. Art does not change the path of history. Not even Guernica prevented war. Not even Guernica, with all its fame, with all its powerful statement against war, is able to stop war. So why do I continue to do it? I do it for my peace, that I am doing my share to do something about it, instead of feeling hopeless and helpless and feeling that there is nothing that I can do. I can do a lot, and I invite every individual to be peace wherever you are in your community.